Sometimes I have a hard time sleeping, or I wake up in the middle of the night and can't fall back asleep, and my mind is spinning with things I'm thinking about. And so I will get up and I will go sit on the floor of our closet and write it down on my phone. So you could call this coming out of the closet, but for some reason we're calling this coming out of the coop. Hello, I'm coming out of the coop. Are you ready to come out of the coop? So this is Coop Conversations. Welcome and thank you for listening. I actually don't remember what I wrote, but I wake up in the morning and at some point during the day I'm like, oh yeah, I wrote something down last night. What was that thing that I wrote down? And so then we shall discover together my thoughts from about a week ago. I was writing about greetings. Healing requires a lot of growing and learning. It also requires unlearning and relearning. So something that I had to unlearn is how to greet people. Growing up, the standard morning greeting was, depending on the situation, it would either be, wow, you're up early, or it's about time you got up. So either way, you are insulted, and you're lazy. As a child, I would wake up eager and excited for the things I was going to do that day, but I also needed time to become fully awake and have some peace and quiet before I was ready to face people, because people are not nice, especially in the morning. Now, some people, don't talk to them until they had their coffee, but my family didn't drink coffee. So there was no indicator of when it was safe to talk to people. Often I'd wake up early and do my schoolwork because I was homeschooled and we were not allowed to play until we finished our school. Therefore, do school before I can do whatever else I'm dreaming of doing that day. So I'd do some of my schoolwork and take time to prepare myself to face people. And then I'd go to the kitchen to eat breakfast. Of course, I'd get scolded. It's about time you woke up. I didn't dare say anything because then I'd get in trouble for being disrespectful or talking back. So I just hand my mom my stack of finished schoolwork, which is a nonverbal way of saying, you're wrong, I'm not lazy. And then I would get scolded again because we were supposed to eat breakfast and then start school, because mom wanted to make sure everyone was awake before 8 and that we had breakfast cleaned up before we started school. I don't know why it mattered, because it's not that hard to pour a bowl of cereal, eat it, put the dishes in the dishwasher. It was as if I was never there. But as you can see, I was a very defiant, rebellious child who made life very difficult. But I eventually grew up and went to college. And at some point in life, I learned if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. So that was my approach to breakfast, was eat in silence by myself. And probably glare at anyone who dare approach me because I'm not ready for their rudeness yet. I don't think it was actually till after college and sometime into my adult years, maybe about 5 years after leaving my parents' home, that I realized that most people in the morning, they just say good morning. And maybe even some small talk like, did you sleep well, or something like that. In fact, in general, most people are actually not rude in the morning. But after, 20 some years of waking up in the morning and bracing myself before I see people, it's hard to adapt and to wrap my mind around the fact that basically everyone is actually kind in the morning instead of starting off the day insulting each other. And I'm just now realizing this and putting words to it. But I'm aware that I'm terrible at greeting people, or sometimes even acknowledging them when they enter the room or join the group. Because again, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And what was modeled to me was to greet people in a way that is rude and disrespectful. And I don't want to do that, and therefore I don't do anything. So the past couple of years I've become painfully aware of my failure to greet people. So now I can criticize myself for that. But I'm also paying attention to how other people greet each other. Just like how a child will watch the adults and observe how they interact in healthy ways, and it's mostly all subconscious and mimicking behavior. But as an adult, I had to make a conscious effort to pay attention. I've had to make a conscious effort to pay attention to how other people treat each other, which is actually really fun, analyzing the world around me and being like, oh, I like that. I should say that more often, but then I don't remember it. Anyway. But I've noticed that when someone has a hard day, instead of hijacking the conversation and saying, oh, you think that's bad? Here's my story. Normal, or at least healthy people, actually respond with compassion and things like that, but I am still learning how to do that because it doesn't come naturally. It's one of those things that 2 days later, I'm like, oh, I know what I could have said. But I've always known the standard ritual greeting of, hi, how are you? I'm good, how are you? I'm good, how are you? Good, oh wait, we said that already. We did that already. Where are we at? Okay, moving on. Good to see you. And I've always thought that it's kind of stupid that we're just required to say, good, how are you, regardless of how you actually feel, because everyone's just doing this ritual and no one actually cares. So sometimes you just lie and say I'm good without even thinking. Or because even though I know I'm not good, I just say it because it would be rude to actually be like, well, I'm having a bad day, because I know the person asking doesn't actually care to listen. And as a funny experiment, you could try this. Next time someone's like, hey, how are you? Instead of being like, good, how are you? Just be like, terrible, how are you? I think I literally at one point said something, not quite like terrible, but like, not good, how are you? And they're like, oh, that's great. And they keep walking. And it was like, huh, they definitely did not listen to what I just said. So there's a fun experiment. Don't just say, good, how are you? Say something terrible and watch if the other person even notices that you said anything other than the script. Oh, look, see, I actually wrote that down that I should say that. Well, what do you know? All right, anyway. Yeah, so I think at some point I just don't even really ask, how are you? Because I think it's stupid to like force people to engage in socially polite lying. There is once in a while like an honest person who's like, I'm having a terrible day. And then they launch into like their giant story about their day. And I was just asking, how are you, out of politeness. I didn't actually want to listen to your whole story of your horrible week. But now, for the sake of continued politeness, I'm trapped in a conversation with this person because I did ask a question. I just didn't expect a genuine answer. Yeah, it's so awkward. So I do prefer, like if I'm actually thinking and not just an autopilot, like instead of saying, how are you? Like if a friend or something is that I haven't seen in a while, I can be like, hey, what's happened since the last time I saw you? Or how was that thing that they said that they were going to do? In the perfect world, I would remember to ask questions like that are more specific than just how are you? But I think mostly I just kind of skip greetings and dive into conversations because, no time for small talk. Like, let's just talk about the thing we're here to talk about. I haven't actually spent a whole lot of time over analyzing my behavior and social skills, so I'm just kind of figuring this out as I'm laying in bed not sleeping, and then I forget about it during the day for an entire week. So yeah, I can't really self-evaluate too much. But it's kind of weird, instead of like actually having a conversation, to be like simultaneously observing myself outside and overthinking like how I'm interacting with the other person and am I doing things properly. It just feels like I'm making life overcomplicated. But this is me at 37 years old trying to figure out how to function like a mature adult while I'm still learning basic friendly social skills that I could have learned at 7 years old. But better late than never. On the flip side, if someone does genuinely ask, how are you? And they actually seem interested in hearing an authentic answer, I'm kind of weirded out because, again, I don't actually know what to do with that. Like, the subconscious part of me is asking, like, wait, do you actually care? Do you really want to know? What are you going to do with this information? Like, what do you want from me? Because I don't know this game and I don't know these rules. And I don't know what's expected of me right now, and I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And basically, I just feel like a cat most of the time. Like, I want attention when I want attention. But if you genuinely give me attention out of nowhere for no reason, I kind of panic and get overwhelmed because I don't know what's going on. And what do you want from me? That is my thoughts on greetings and how are you? How are you? The end.
Is this the part where I come like a kitty?
Meow! Meow! Yep, too overwhelming. Meow! You scared all the chickens away. They're scared of cats too.